South Central America by Erin Armstrong. The four countries in my region of South Central America are Venezuela, Colombia, Peru, and Ecuador. South Central America is located on the border of South America and the Pacific Ocean. Venezuela, Colombia, and Peru all border Brazil. Ecuador borders Peru and Colombia. The population size of Colombia is 49 million, Peru 32 million, Venezuela 31 million, Ecuador 16 million. Right here is a picture showing the population density in all of South America. But in my region specifically right here, you can see that the population density is much greater the closer to the coast you get and not as much inland. Right here is a chart of the trade statistics with the United States. Over the past several months, you can see the exports, imports, and balance of this region and how much they take in and how much they send out. Trade is a major part of countries' stability and relationships with other countries as well. Some of the major exports from this region are mineral fuels, gems, chemicals, coffee, spices, and items such as those. And they import a lot of machinery, computers, automobiles, plastics. This country relies a lot on machinery and automobiles coming in from other, like more developed countries such as the United States, China, areas like those. The economic environment. Per capita income, Peru has an income of almost $12,890, almost $13,000, Venezuela $17,000, Ecuador $11,000, and Colombia $14,000. Your average household income for Peru is almost $60,000, Venezuela $250,000, Ecuador $447 a month, and Colombia $560,000. But this is in their currency of money, which I will explain later on in the PowerPoint how much that is equivalent to a United States dollar. The economic distribution within the region, as you can see in the South Central America region, the GDP percentage is actually a lot lower than most of the areas in South America, such as Brazil, Paraguay, Uruguay, Argentina. Those all have higher GDP percentages. But in the South Central America region, it averages from about 4.8 to 5.4% GDP. Most of these countries in South Central America are not above the poverty line. These countries' household income is significantly lower than the United States. In 2017, inflation rates were observed to be in a downward trend in most of the major economies. In this region, they do have different cultural environments than we do here in the United States. A lot of it relies on the language that is spoken. As you can see, these are different languages that are spoken in this region, specifically in these countries. But their religion is Roman Catholic. And so this is another graph showing about how many Roman Catholics there are in this region. And most of them it's between 96% and about 81.3% of that whole country is Roman Catholic. Cultural aspects and business practices are very important to learn while visiting or doing business in these areas. For instance, if you're doing business in Colombia, they have a tendency to be about 30 minutes late to each meeting. But we as Americans might take that personal if we didn't know. We would think that they might not be showing up, or that they just don't take it seriously enough to be on time. While in Peru, they shake each other's hands as a company greeting, which is what we do here in the United States. So some things are very similar and some things are very different. From a marketing standpoint, we need to be aware of how a business is ran in a certain country to understand how they operate. Being aware of different countries' cultures and business practices can only help you as a company. The legal environment. The South Central America countries are ran as a democratic republic. To do business in these countries, the U.S. firms must apply their laws and regulations, such as Colombia has a foreign company, must execute a contract that meets the provision of the Colombian Commercial Code. Venezuela has certain important licenses that have to get approved, such as their one for the medical drugs. And Ecuador has a civil codifying legal system. This constitutes challenges faced by the United States companies investing in Ecuador. Venezuela also has certain laws for imports on agricultural goods and sanitary. And Ecuador's system systematically weakens in the judicial system and is susceptible to political and economic pressures, constituting challenges faced by the United States companies investing in Ecuador. Certain regulations. Ecuador does not have laws specifically on FDI. United States and the Ecuador BIT exportation can only be carried out for a public purpose in a non-discriminatory manner and upon payment of prompt, adequate, and effective compensation. The United States-Peru Trade Promotion Agreement eliminates duties on 80% of qualifying capital goods. In Venezuela, one thing to be aware of as an exporter is invoicing is illegal under the Venezuelan law. In 2012, the United States and Colombia reached an agreement on the U.S. rough rice market. The U.S. seeks access to all Colombian ports as well as revision to the methyl requirement. Currencies. As we were talking about earlier in the PowerPoint, when we were comparing the average income and per capita income, the Peru, this is their system of currency, and it equals to about 30 cents of a U.S. dollar. Venezuela, on the other hand, $1 U.S. equals 6,724 of their currencies, and Colombia pesos are extremely small, or 1 U.S. peso is extremely small portion of the U.S. dollar. And Ecuador actually uses the United States dollar, and so theirs is ran the same as ours. In the 1930s, the United States set a value of a dollar at a single unchanging level. 1 ounce of gold was worth $35. After World War II, other countries based the value of currencies on the U.S. dollars. Since everyone knew how much the U.S. dollar was worth, then the value of other currencies against the dollar could be based on its value in gold. A currency worth twice as much gold as the U.S. dollar was therefore also worth $2. Being able to do business in countries with the United States dollar is worth more, allow more marketing opportunities because a firm can get more bang for their buck when the cost is lower, and vice versa if the cost is higher than a U.S. dollar. Infrastructures. Peru has a very extensive system of roads that cross most of the mountains and coastal regions, and so they're known for their extensive road systems and how well everything is ran. Ecuador's government has been investing heavily in projects to improve electricity, telecommunication, and transportation. Public transportation is greater in Ecuador than private transportation. Venezuela has the distinction of having the most paved highways in Latin America. They also have 11 international and 36 domestic airports and produce about 70 billion kilowatts an hour of electricity. Colombia has the 10th poorest provision of vital infrastructure. They are in need of better roads, railways, ports, and airports. Colombia is known to be one of the worst countries in all of South America for their infrastructures, roads, railways, and also buildings. The Internet in South Central America. As of 2017, about 19 million people out of 31 million people use the Internet in Venezuela, roughly 60% of their population. Roughly 58% of Colombia's population, 81% of Ecuador's population, and 56% of Peru's population all use the Internet. They have shown an increasing amount of users in the Internet over the past couple years. With more and more people using the Internet in this region, Internet-based marketing has started to increase in this area. Marketing has grown so much in the last decade in this region due to Internet access. More people are using the Internet, allowing companies to reach consumers in different ways. Companies need to capitalize on this region with Internet-based marketing because many of the countries have Internet users, but they still have many people that are not using the Internet currently. So there's still a lot of people that they can reach with with paper marketing, billboards, and so on, but Internet marketing is definitely growing in this region. Direct investments from the United States. In the fiscal year, the Obama administration requested almost $119 million for assistance in Peru. In 2017, Colombia was given $7.2 billion, which was actually a decrease from the previous year. In 2017, again, the U.S. FDI in Ecuador was about $779 million. And that was also a decrease from the previous year of about 25%. And the U.S. FDI in Venezuela was $6.6 billion in 2017. Also about 10% decrease from 2016. That is the most current information on how much direct investment the United States has been giving to these countries in this South Central America region. The United States holds a strong presence in South Central America due to the strong investments and the heavy trade between these countries and the United States. Peru has been one of the fastest growing economies in South America, opening the door for incoming companies. Ecuador has had a strong labor pool, which makes the country an attractive investment opportunity. There are significant opportunities within the Ecuadorian market for small to medium-sized U.S. exporters. Colombia's extensive ongoing infrastructure projects will generate demand for projects and companies. In 2017, the United States applied a series of financial sanctions against the Venezuelan government and its subsidiaries. As of July 18, they were still in place. For Peru, Ecuador, and Colombia, you can see that there is a lot of growth happening, especially for Colombia's demand for new projects, new infrastructure, buildings, and so on. They're going to need a lot of people to invest in them, and many job opportunities and also marketing opportunities will open up in this area. Is this area desirable or undesirable? Based on the information provided, I would say all four of these countries are a desirable place for the United States firms to consider as an international business alternative. This region has a lot of economic, internet, and infrastructure growth happening, which is a reason the United States would want to do business in this region. Marketing for this region is only growing with the amount of internet users. Some of these countries in this region even share most of the United States customs and business practices. The United States already gives an abundance of direct investments to this region and can benefit from the imports and exports this region has to offer.